we only think of consumption. Kenya does not think of alternative ways, especially the government. It has no ways of raising revenue apart from taxation. Bottom up should be about production. If bottom up that President Ruto used to sell in this country, if the bottom up policy is about consumption, then we are doomed. A hungry nation is going to be a hungry nation also.
Hello there and welcome to the Political Oracle, a segment of the Talk Chat podcast. My name is Benediction. Today I'm joined by Dr. Michael Ndonye, and before we go to matters at hand, let me give you our today's political benediction. The time to repair the roof is when the sun is shining. That is a quote by the 35th President of the United States, John F. Kennedy. Welcome. Now, Daktari, today the National Assembly is hosting the 22nd National Prayer Breakfast under the theme Rebuild.
Is it a rise or?
It is rise.
Rise and shine.
No, rise and rebuild.
Okay, not rise and shine?
Not rise and shine.
Okay.
Yeah, and the Speaker of the National Assembly, that is Moses Wetangula, is urging the political leaders to unite despite their political differences. Yeah. And he's saying that it is that time when people need to come together in unity in order to solve whatever is affecting our country at the moment.
Yeah, thank you. I think the breakfast is still ongoing, even as we speak. I think is something that has been happening. It's the 22nd. That means this is the 22nd time that this is happening in our country. Mm-hmm. Of course, the annual National Prayer Breakfast has become a tradition in this country. Mm-hmm. Today is happening at Safari Park Hotel
in Nairobi.
Mm-hmm. And it is something that comes at a time when Kenyans are very expectant of the government. Kenyans are facing a lot of issues that they expect maybe the government to reflect. Yeah. So Arise and Rebuild, I think, is a good thing. I think they coined it from Arise and Shine, which comes from the book of Isaiah, Isaiah 60, verse 1. Mm-hmm. Arise and Shine. And I think that's why they came up with Arise and Rebuild. Yeah. It's something that is a call. Is a call for all Kenyans and especially for the government to arise and rebuild. It means something, or the building. When we talk about rebuilding, it means we are building somewhere where there was a building in the first place. Okay. So the first question they should explain, of course, to Kenyans is that acceptance that there was a house, there was a structure, the structure is down. Okay. It requires to be rebuilt. Mm-hmm. And rebuild is a time of restoration is a revival that we expect the government to undertake from now going forward. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good thing. Mm-hmm. And we are still listening to them, what they are saying. Of course, we have some expectations.
Okay. Yeah. And this meeting is coming at a very critical moment in the country, whereby we've witnessed a lot of political tensions, with the recent being the Member of Parliament for Juja, that is George Koimburi, who said he was abducted, but the National Police Service is denying the fact that is saying that there is no evidence that points towards him being abducted, and they're saying that maybe he staged his own abduction, whereas the political team, the political opposition is saying that the abduction was orchestrated by the government. So we are witnessing a situation where there's a lot of division in the country. Yeah, so this breakfast, prayer breakfast is coming at a very critical moment.
Yeah, of course, you have mentioned what Wetangula said the leaders need to unite.
Yeah.
Wetangula is the National Assembly Speaker. That the leaders are supposed to unite.
Yeah.
Because if the leaders are divided, the nation is divided.
Yes.
Of course, they are our representatives. And they should know the concept of striking the shepherd so that you scatter the sheep. If the shepherds are divided, then the sheep is also divided. And that is a situation that we should not be talking about at this particular age in the year 2024. We are supposed to be more united so that we rebuild this nation. Remember last week when we went to have a conversation with Lee Jiro, the former president's pressman, he talked about the many tribes that makes Kenya. And he said they agreed. They are different nations. The Kikuyu nation, the Luo nation, the Luya nation, the Kamba nation, the Meru nation, all of them. The 42, 43, whatever they are, because I know now they are many, including now the Indians, the Somalis. They came together to form a nation so that they pull together their resources. And those resources includes, of course, security, securing their boundaries, includes pulling together taxation so that they can have development together. And I think that is why our leaders are supposed to unite, because we elect them as those nations, so that when they go there, they are going to represent their nations in the bigger nation. And that vision has not been lost. And they need to know when they are divided, there is nothing that can go on in this country. Either development will go on to one side and other sides will start complaining. And that is why Wetangula's statement is very important. And I think it is the same statement that President Ruto is maybe going to echo together with his deputy and other speakers in that particular breakfast. And being the theme, I think they should reflect so that they not only talk, but they also walk the talk of what they are saying. Now, coming to the issue of abduction, of course, there are some expectations, especially some of the social issues that we expect they need to be fixed in this country. One of them is, of course, security. And security has been an issue in this nation since independence. It has never been resolved. Remember, we came together so that we secure our boundaries, and we secure our citizens within the state. If we are talking about abductions in the year 2025, whether that is true or it is stage managed, as the government is saying, or it is true, like the opposition is saying, it is a subject that we should not be talking about. If it is stage managed, then it means why are we appropriating insecurity in politics? It means it is something that is existing. If it is true, then it means we are far away and it is not yet uhuru in this country. So the issue of security, of course, there are some other issues like police brutality and human rights violations, which is also a big concern related also to security. And of course, there are others like economic struggles and addressing of high cost of living that the government should check in. As they rebuild, they need to rebuild on this, because this is a big issue which is affecting the 50 plus millions of Kenyans. And it is one of the reasons why Kenyans are crying, why Kenyans are not satisfied with the government. Of course, the issue of political tensions and governance issues, of course, they need to be addressed also, is another social issue that the government should be awake up to, because as we speak now, political tensions are rising. We are headed to 2027 elections. We have less than 200, I think, less, because it's just next year, 2026, and then we head to election. This year is already over because we are in between the year. So political tensions are rising. And we have been seeing pronunciations from politicians which are actually accelerating the tension. It is something that the government should be awake to and know how they are going to rebuild that in their Arise and Rebuild theme of this year's annual breakfast. And of course, education sector crisis. The education sector is in crisis. We are transitioning from 844 to CBC, CBE. And I think there is a crisis in education. There is mismatch between the market, or what we call the industry, and what is taught in our schools. How is the government prepared to bridge that gap and to rebuild the education confidence that Kenyans should have on them? So, of course, with the many issues that the government needs to tackle, we are looking at them after this. Are they going to just talk about Arise and Rebuild? Or after this, they are going to walk the talk? And that is some expectations that Kenyans have. And I think that one now brings the issue not only of the Koiburi, but also of other people who are likely to meet the same fates or who have already met the same insecurity issues.
And what about the economic things that should also be prioritized in an effort to rebuild the country?
Of course, apart from the social issues, there are economic issues that we expect. Remember, the bigger expectations of Kenyans is that they have cried. President Ruto still has time to revive. So the issue of economic revival, of course, is one of the most important things to most Kenyans. But for the government to achieve economic revival, remember, they need to do some few things. Number one, private sector growth and credit access. The private sector is still under siege, let me say that, because of the taxation regime and taxation policies which are in place during the time of William Ruto. So many companies are closing down. Many other companies are struggling. They are laying off people. That means the rate of unemployment is going up. And then Kenyans are finding it hard to live, to put food on the table. The other day I went to somewhere to buy some things in a certain Tibayad. And I was asking the owner of that Tibayad, how many people have you employed? And he said, currently I have 200 people, but before I used to have 500 people. I was forced to lay off 300. Then he said, he started now explaining those 300 people, if each one of them has a family, a wife and 2 children, how many people are being affected? So if you just start doing your math, 300 times 3, you realize that's a lot of people. But also I told him it does not stop there. Because those 300 people, there are mama bogas around. There are people with kiosk, the mama ntilie, who were actually depending on them to eat during the lunchtime and also during the breakfast. What has that done to those small business, the mama boga? There were border people who are ferrying those people from the yard to the nearest market or to their homes. It really affects many. So that is just one business. You lay off one person and you deny the society and the community around opportunities to produce money, opportunities to their livelihood. So economy is a very big thing, and I think this government should reconsider. So as they talk about rebuilding, they need to talk about that. Of course, there is another sector, agriculture and food security, which they need to talk about. As we move now, we are seeing more and more of the exported food in this country. We used to think agriculture is our main thing, but currently sugar, maize, rice, we talk about even vegetables, watermelon,
fruits.
Many Actually, as we speak, if things continue the way we are continuing, in the next 10 years, we will be importing everything in this country. We were left with the agricultural products, but now our farmers are having their maize and their milk brought in their granaries because someone is importing milk, powder milk from other countries. And I think it is time this government rebuild the confidence of farmers in this country so that we have our own produced food. And of course, there is debt management, which I think is also a big thing. As they rebuild, as they arise and rebuild, let them think about the debt management as a nation, because it is one of the ticking bomb that this country is facing. Otherwise, I think this is something that has been talked here and there. Of course, taxation reforms is another thing that President Ruto needs to check into. We know that we cannot develop without money. People have to pay taxes. Yes, that is correct. But if you come back to microeconomics, if you come to the household and ask yourself, you have some priorities, you have some money, and you are given an opportunity to build a house, and your family sleep hungry. What should be prioritized? Is it the infrastructure or feeding the nation? Because food is basic. Even when we talk about roads, we talk about other things, President Ruto should first of all empower people. Let them have energy to work. Because we have a weak workforce. We have exhausted, hungry workforce in this nation. People who are waking up in the morning, they are going to work, they are hungry, they have not eaten. Families are breaking because everyone is hungry. We usually say a hungry person is a hungry person. And the same thing applies even to families. And this is an hungry nation. A hungry nation is going to be an angry nation also. And I think as they rebuild in their strategy, they need to think about that. Of course, investment is something that they need to do. And when I talk of investment, I think this country either will lack creative ways of generating revenue. We only think of consumption. Kenya does not think of alternative ways, especially the government. It has no ways of raising revenue apart from taxation. Other countries are reducing tax because they have already invested. They have invested in infrastructure that generates money. They have invested in assets that generate money as a nation. So that the nation has businesses, the nation has investments that generate money for them instead of generating money through taxation. So that this money they are taking from Mwananchi, let it empower the Mwananchi, let it give the Mwananchi what we call the buying power, the purchasing power, so that Mwananchi is more productive. And in the long run, you are going to realize people are going to development is going to be felt from down, from the household up. And I think that is the ideal meaning of bottom up.
Yeah.
So bottom up is not about consumption. Bottom up should be about production. If bottom up that President Ruto used to sell in this country, if the bottom up policy is about consumption, then we are doomed. Bottom up should be about production. And that is what I think as they rebuild, I think it is coming at a time when the government needs to rebuild. And it is not something they should even be saying they are setting goals. It is a must. It is an objective that it is long overdue in this nation.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying this national breakfast meeting should be a chance for the country to rethink its strategy on how they are going to empower the citizens, how they are going to ensure the nation is on the right track.
Exactly.
So thank you so much, Dr. for those insights.
Yeah.
We have come to the end of the political oracle. Until we meet next time, bye-bye.